Hello, everyone. I am Christina Taylor, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator coming to you from North Canton, Ohio. And if you are joining me today, there's a pretty good chance that you are part of the In Color Club. And so today we are featuring the color Timid Tiger. And this is the last color of our 5-month In Color Club. Um, what do I want to say? Just our 5-month in color club. So anyway, at this point you will have cloud cover, secret sea, the timid tiger will be for today and or this month in September here. And then you also have darling duckling and strawberry slush. So I hope that you have enjoyed getting the in color bundle each month and discovering new projects to make with each color, and that the ideas have sparked inspiration for you to kind of create on your own. And also know that every project that I have shared with you, you can very easily take and create that project using one of the in colors. And I think it would look lovely. These two projects that I'm going to share with you today would look beautiful in any of the other colors too. So, um, anyway, so we are going to go ahead and get started. And these are the two projects that we're going to make for Timid Tiger. And they're very much kind of like a burst of sunshine, even though they're not like yellow, but they are very just like happy colors. So we're going to create a birthday card. And then this one that I created is just kind of a thinking of you, hope and encouragement card. I really like the softness of this particular card. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to put that one aside. And for this project here, I will tell you the supplies that you have in your kit. So I'm going to be making it the way that you will. But then when I designed it, I designed the card to go long ways, instead of like, so this would be like hot dog version of a card instead of the hamburger version of a card, which is this way. That's kind of a funny thing, a funny term that everybody uses as far as cutting. So anyway, we're going to create this the way I'm going to create it on camera the way you'll create it at home. So on this card, we're going to use the Prairie Grass stamp set, and I've chosen the sentiments out of there. Sometimes life is just hard, and then you're not alone, I'm here for you. So I put those two together in the inside for my inside sentiment. If for some reason you wouldn't want to use those sentiments, you could very easily create this card and make it something else. You could make it a birthday card if you needed. You could make it a congratulations card, a wedding card, like whatever you choose to do. But those are the two sentiments that I went with for this project in that prairie grass set, and that is an online exclusive. And then the image that I used in here is going to be from Gallery Blooms. It's a photopolymer stamp set, and it also comes with, we're not using them today, but in the same suite of products, there's a set of dies that go along with it that will cut out all these floral stamped images, as well as some detailed pieces. And then there's some beautiful designer series paper, which I'll try to like fan through here so you can see the different color. This one's like a landscape one. I'm certain I've shown this before, but just in case you may not have seen it. So it's got all these really beautiful scenery pieces and then just some like vintage, I kind of think of like vintage wallpaper. I don't know, it's so beautiful. It's very muted tones, rich muted tones. And yeah. So I just kind of wanted to just share that a little bit with you. But again, we're not using them today. The die set that I'm using are the textured notes dies. That goes along with, let me see if I've got the stamp set in front of me. Yeah, this is the stamp set that it goes with. They're bundled together. Beautiful stamp set. But I'm using the dyes that go with that. We're also using the water painters. You could very much use your markers, your blends to do some coloring in. You could also use blender pens, but I'm just using the water painters and the ink refill to show you just a different technique with that. And then we've got our Timid Tiger ribbon. And we are using designer series paper. On this one, we are using this pattern here. So you're going to want to do some cutting, which I'll give you those measurements. You're going to want a piece of this cardstock or designer series paper, and you're also going to use a couple snippets of your ribbon. Everything else will be provided in there for you. And we're using, of course, the Timid Tiger ink pad, and I've grabbed the re-inker in case I haven't put enough on the lid of the pad. So let me bring the stamps in here. Okay. That aside, I'm gonna go ahead and open up this. Oh, yeah, let me do this first. Just like talking to myself here. I'm not on camera today because I've got a hair appointment here in a little bit. And so yeah, the hair is not looking so lovely. Anyway, let me tell you the measurements here. My goodness, I'm like all over the place today. Okay, you've got a piece of thick basic white cardstock that's 5.5 by 8.5. It is scored at 4.25. So right here, right? And then you'll need to cut a piece of your designer series paper. So if you want to use one of the different patterns, you absolutely can, but you're going to want to cut a piece at 4 by 5.25. So you'll need one piece of that. And then I actually had the leftover scrap piece from that, and I'm going to show you how to cover your envelope with it. You don't have to do that, but I'm just going to do that as like sometimes when I'm using a 6 by 6 piece, I kind of like to just go ahead and use up the whole thing while I'm at it. So you can do as you'd like. You'll need to cut 2 pieces of your Timid Tiger ribbon, and those are going to be like 2 inches each. You're just going to fold over and create a little tab with them. So you just need 2 pieces of those. And then I have die cut the textured notes die out for you. You'll see you've got that nice detailed edge on it. And then of course our envelope. So we're going to go ahead and fold our cardstock in half to create our card base. Okay, and then for a minute there, I thought I wasn't recording. I was like, oh my gosh, I started this and I didn't even hit record. Let me grab is my phone mat? There it is. You should see my stamp studio. Oh my gosh, it's like a craft explosion everywhere. I'm doing projects for um the October class, which is the gratitude class. I've completed the ones for the Christmas card class. I've got a stamping group class for that. I literally have stamping stuff everywhere, like around my feet. It's like a little landmine when I'm trying to walk around here. So after this video, I do need to clean things up because I've created quite the mess. So I'm going to take the larger blossom and stamp that right in the center of my die cut. Okay, and let me get my chamois here to clean this off. You know what? I want to go ahead before I clean it. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my envelope too. And then I'll clean it off. So we'll do that because we're using the photopolymer. We want to use that. The foam mat gives it a little extra cushion when we're stamping. Okay, so now I'm going to come in with the water painter. And for that, I want to pull my ink pad all the way out. Okay, so you can do one of 2 things to do this technique. I've just put some re-inker on the lid there. You can also squeeze your pad together. So let me just grab a different pad. So you can also just take your ink pad, squeeze with your fingers, and that will put ink on the lid inside. But if it's not giving you enough ink and I need a little bit more, I just put some of my re-inker in there and then it just stays in the lid of the pad. It's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and grab uh, water painter, and I'm going to squeeze it a little bit to get a little bit of water coming out. It'll drip down there. And I'm just going to dilute it a little bit. So the more water you put in there, it dilutes it a little bit. Because I don't want it to be super strong. I want to still be able to see the outlines of that stamped image. And I'm just going to gently swirl that around. I had, as I was doing this project, I was kind of having like a deja vu moment. I'm like, have I done this before? Like it seems so familiar, like I have. Um, so I don't know. You ever do that when you're creating something or really doing anything and you're like, this seems so familiar, like I've done it before, but I literally was like, have I done this technique with this exact same flower? I was feeling like I had. At any rate, you can see that I'm just quickly coloring this in. And there are spots where there's still some white there. And I went ahead and left it because I felt like it created some depth to the image and gave it a little bit of texture. So I wasn't really like, what do I want to say? So like precise and like everything needs to be colored in. I wasn't worried about that. So that's it for the watercoloring. We've got some extra color on that blossom. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to bring my card base back in and I'm going to go ahead and close that so I can stamp. So I chose this other flower, this one right here, to stamp on the inside of the card. And I don't know if that's like hyacinths. I don't know. That's kind of like what I want to think. But the leaf does seem a little bit different, so I'm not quite sure that it is hyacinth. Either way, I thought it looked nice, so I wanted to use that. And then I'm not using my foam mat because I've got red rubber ink, the cling stamps coming in here. So I want to ink that. And I'm going to stamp that down. The font on this is so delicate. It's just like somebody like hand wrote it. Just tapping around gently with that. And that one right below. Okay. All right, we've got everything stamped. So I'm going to shut that. So we're ready to go ahead and layer and assemble our card. So I'm going to bring this piece back in and I'm going to grab a little bit of Scotch tape and I'm just going to fold. So I'm folding this ribbon right in half. So I'm creating like a little tab and I want to put it up at the top. This is a great way to put ribbon on your card on your project. Not adding like a lot of bulk to your project if you're concerned about that as far as mailing. And then you'll do the same thing with the other one. Just folding it in half and creating a little tab. Okay, and then that right there. So this is just fastening the two little tabs behind and we're ready to put it together. So let me grab some now and I want to put the DSP on. Okay. So we're going to put that in place. This card will come together really easy for you. Because I have Scotch tape on the back, I'm just going to use a little bit of my Stampin' Seal. I prefer to use that when I've got tape on the back as opposed to the Tombow adhesive. Put that in place. And there we go. Now I want to come back in and do my envelopes. So I've taken this piece. This was the cutoff on the 6x6 piece. And I'm just going to coordinate the back of my envelope. So I like to use the liquid glue on this and I just kind of trace the outer edge of my envelope flap there. And then I'm just going to place this right at the edge and press that down. Now you will find, I'm going to tell you, I trimmed a little bit of my envelope off because it was just like maybe like an eighth of an inch too long. So I did trim my envelope. So if you want to use that extra piece once you cut it off, you'll just have to trim your envelope down, but you still have plenty of adhesive there to be able to shut the envelope. And then you're just going to use your scissors and follow the edges there to clean those up at an angle. That. So there we've got our envelope, our card. So it's matching with the DSP on the back. You've got that beautiful sentiment, the image stamped on the front. Okay, that's our first project. Let me come around here to the second one, which is going to be this fun project. And let me grab these stamps out of the way. Okay. We're going to come in with these goodies here. All right, so on this one, we are using, of course, the designer series paper. We're going to use that. We're going to use some of the ribbon right here. We've got two pieces of the two-tone cardstock using both the dark and the light shade of that, doing some tearing so you can get that white, really pretty white edge. We're using the Damask embossing folder, which is new. That's part of the Gallery Blooms, the stamp set that we just used on the other one. This embossing folder is part of that with the dies and the designer series paper. So beautiful, sweet all together. And then I've just got the inside stamp there. So we're making this one a birthday card. And this design was brought to you through me from our CEO of Stampin' Up, Sarah Douglas. She shared this simple card on one of our training videos. So I thought it was really pretty and a great use of all the supplies really for the In Color Club. So it's perfect. So we're going to build on, you can see that this layer, see right there, so it's up on dimensionals. We're going to build all this on a piece of white cardstock so that you can layer your ribbon around it and put it up on dimensionals. Okay, so just to kind of stick with me here on this, I'll put this paper away here. Okay, so on this one, like I said, we're using the Damask embossing folder, which is in the annual catalog. We're also using the right words, and I've grabbed happy birthday out of there and to someone worth celebrating every single day, which who wouldn't like that? I mean, you could just send that just in general, like, hey, I think you're an amazing kind of friend, and put that in there too. And then we're also using the Inspiring Imperfections stamp set. And I grabbed the die out of there because I wanted to use this floral image right here. So I grabbed this floral image. There's a die to die cut that out. And that's where those pieces came from out of this set, a bundle of products. Again, we're using our Timid Tiger ink. So let's go with our supplies here. So we've got a basic white envelope. And so this is something you'll need to cut. So you've got, and I went ahead and already layered this here. So obviously I got a little ahead of myself. So you're going to want to cut a piece of Timid Tiger at 5.5 by 8.5. So that's half a sheet of your cardstock and then score it at 4.25. So that is something you'll need to do. Cut it out of your supplies. In with your supplies, you will have a piece of Timid Tiger that I have embossed for you, and that is cut 4 by 5.25. I went ahead and did that just with my supplies because you may not have this embossing folder, and I wanted you to kind of have the whole feel of the look of the card. So that has been done for you. Then you've got a piece of cardstock in your packet that is 2 7/8 by 3 3/4. This is going to be our layering piece for all this. Okay. Then you will need to cut a piece of your designer series paper, whichever design you want to use. You're going to need a 3 by 2 inch piece. So you will need to cut that. This is why you need to have all your supplies handy when we're going over this, because there are things that you'll need to cut. My reasoning in doing that is I want you to get your supplies out and start to use them. So this is why we're doing this. So you need to use them so that way you're like, you fall in love with the color and you're like, I'm going to use this color. That's the point of the club, to be able to have you use your supplies. Um, I mean, besides building things on a budget. So you get what I'm saying, I'm sure. Then you've got a piece of basic white in here in your kit that is 3 by 1 1/4, which actually I think this is longer. There's just no way this is 1 1/4. I'm thinking it's more like, yeah, this is a 2 inch piece. Yours should be smaller. I'm pretty sure it'll be like 1 1/4. So you've got that piece in there. Then you're going to want to cut 2 pieces of two-tone cardstock. So they are going to be 1 1/4 by 3. Okay, 1 1/4 by 3, and you will need two. We're going to use a dark and a light of each side. Then you're going to need to cut a ribbon, and what I wrote down is not right. So I don't think it is right anyway. Let me look here. Oh no, I was okay. All right, I was right. I was like, that just doesn't seem right. We're going to need 2 4-inch pieces of ribbon. So you're going to take your ribbon and cut that to 2 4-inch pieces. I'm just going to blame my craziness today on the rain, for heaven's sake. But oh my goodness, I'm loving the rain. How about all of you? My goodness, we need it so bad. I'm so grateful to see it. Okay. So you've got your ribbon there. Then you'll have a die cut for your flower, and you will have then a 3.5 by 5 inch piece for your inside. Obviously, I've already put mine down there, so you will have a piece there. All right, so let's get started. So before we stamp or anything, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do a little tearing. Okay, so when you're tearing, so you want a piece, you want a light shade and you want a dark shade, okay? And when you tear, to get that white edge exposed, you want to take and hold the cardstock with like 2 fingers here, 2 fingers here, and you are going to tear towards you. So however it's comfortable for you, and you're just going to tear off like a 1/4 inch. Everyone's is going to look different because we're all going to tear it differently. That is just discard. And then make sure the light side is up. So I've got my dark side up on this one. I'm going to use my light side up on this one, and I want to tear towards me because I want those 2 tones, those 2 shades, but I also want the white edge exposed. See, if I'm tearing towards me, the white edge is exposed. If I turn it around, no white edge. So that just adds extra interest to the card. Okay, so I've already got mine stamped because again, I was working ahead here. So I have stamped this flower from the oh my goodness, the Aspiring Imperfections stamp set, and already die cut that out. So you don't even have to watch me do that. And I've embossed this because I was embossing for all of you, and so I just went ahead and did that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this on my card front. Okay. So we've got kind of like tone on tone there, but you've got that texture, so that adds a fun element to the card. And I'm going to stamp my happy birthday. I was like, could I have got a bigger block? I really should have put that on a smaller block. And I'm going to do that like 2/3 of the way down the project or the cardstock. Okay. And then I'm also going to tear this piece. So same thing like I did on the other. I just want to pinch the 2 fingers on my left hand together and then tear with my right. You might be the opposite with your right and then tear with your left. So if you need to like turn it this way to tear that way. whatever's comfortable for you. The important thing is to kind of keep the fingers just moving down with each other in succession to kind of keep control of that tear. So this is the piece that I'm going to layer on. And I am going to just, I was kind of building this as I was doing it earlier. Well, not today, but when I had done this. So you kind of want to start from the bottom and work your way up because you want those layers to build on top of one another. So I'm just going to put this at the bottom, and then I'm going to come in with the darker shade. Okay. And then I've got my happy birthday piece. Okay. And then I've got my DSP, which I'm going to put a little bit more adhesive right here just to attach this to. Okay. All right. And that's about the size there. Yeah. Okay. So the liquid glue allows me a little bit of time to position things. And then I'm going to come in with my tape again and just you figure out where you might like these on this piece. So I'm going to flip it over. And wow, could I have used a bigger piece of tape? Good gracious. Maybe I'll just use it for both pieces. I'll just tack it down a little bit there. So I'm going to put those two in place. And then, no, I'll have to do it. So I've got that layer in place and I want to go up. I was trying to see if I was coming down, but I want to go up. So I'm going to get just another piece of tape. So I'm going to take the second piece of ribbon and lay it on top of that. Do that same thing, flip it over and bring those tabs around and tape it down. The reason I did this was to build on the piece of cardstock was so that it would create some structure and I could put this up on dimensionals to add some lift to it. And you're going to want to be fairly generous with your dimensionals here because it's a larger piece and you don't want it to sag on your card. Let's say one in the center there. Okay, so we've got all those on. Now I need to stamp the inside of my card. And because I already put my cardstock on there, I'll just kind of improvise. There we go. So I stamped one and then stamped it off to get a lighter shade of that flower. And then I'm going to come in with the to someone we're celebrating every single day. And I'm going to drop that down here to the bottom and stamp it on the lower part of the inside layer. That way it gives me a space to write my message and I don't have it in the center. Sometimes I like to do that. So it's a matter of personal preference there. And then I'm going to just go ahead and take these little backs off. And put that in place there. Okay, and then we're going to come in with our little flower. And since we're going on top of ribbon, I'm going to use a little bit of Stampin' Seal. Just kind of place that on the front. And I do want to do a little flower here. Grab my foam mat here. So I'm going to go 1 and 2. And that it'll go along with our card stamped inside. Let me put this that away. There's almost space here. All right, so there is our envelope. Here is our second project. Let me take that one out. We'll bring back in the other one. Okay, so there are your two projects for Timid Tiger. And I hope you had fun creating them. Now, if there's some products in here that you don't have and you'd like to add to your creative options, you can always visit my online store at stampingucrazy.stampinup.net. And if you have like an online rewards account with Stampin' Up, excuse me, when you purchase online and your purchase is over $20, for anything over $20, you earn 10% back in rewards, and that will accumulate on your rewards account. And you can redeem those at any time on anything, and they're good for up to a year. So, but you can always email me if you don't want to order online. You can always email me at stampmecrazy@sbcglobal.net, and I can place your order for you. I'm happy to do that as well. Um, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Feel free to like it. Feel free to comment and tell me what you liked about the projects. I love your feedback, and you are welcome to share the video as well. So, yeah. All right. Well, until we meet again for some crafting time, I'm just going to say for today, happy stamping, and I hope you create something beautiful and share that sunshine with someone that you care about. So, all right, take care, ladies.